Hey everybody, happy Wednesday and happy fall. It's finally fall. Here in Texas, we've had 2 consecutive days of cool temperatures. That may be all the fall we get, but hey, it's better than nothing. We are kicking off this week 2 full streaming weeks of fall and Halloween themed tutorials. So we've got some that are just fall, we've got some that are a little bit spoopy. So we are celebrating 2 weeks of Halloween here on the Beading Dream stream, and we are starting it out with this. This is, that's not the right button, that's the right button. So this is our beaded pumpkin charm, and it's pretty simple. Conceptually, it's really just a beaded bead done in pumpkin colors, but hi Silvern! And then it's got a cute little embellishment on the top, which I actually managed to find some green wire. So I'm going to go ahead and do the little curly cues on top for my project tonight in green, which I think is going to be fun. So let's talk tools and supplies for this evening's tutorial. So you are going to need seed beads. These are delicas, but you don't have to use delicas. You can use any seed beads that you happen to have are going to work just fine for this. Literally, I use these because I opened up the seed bead drawer and I said, oh look, they're pumpkin colors. I'm going to grab those because they're right on top. But any beads are going to work for this around size 11. And you're not going to need a ton. You're just going to need basically enough to cover your whole little pumpkin here. You're going to need a base bead for your pumpkin, and the important thing about your base bead is it's got to have a pretty big hole, because each one of these strings goes around and down through the hole. So you've got to be able to accommodate, you know, however many strands this is of thread going down through your bead. So you need something that's got at least a 1 millimeter hole or even a little bit bigger. You need thread. I'm going to be using 6-pound Fireline for this one. And you could use Nymo as well if you're not using crystals or hex cuts or anything that's really particularly rough on the edges. Nymo will work just fine. You need a little green bead, that's for the top of your pumpkin, a soldered ring, and then if you're going to attach it to something, you're going to need a jump ring. And as far as supplies go, that's it. As far as tools go, you are going to need a size 10 beading needle. You can tell that mine has been well loved because it's got a little bit of a wobble to it. You're going to need a sharp scissors or snips. For cutting your Fireline, I'm going to try and muddle through with my metal shears because they're what's in front of me. And then you are also, for the end of the project, the little curly cue, you are going to need your basic wire wrapping tools. So that's going to be your chain nose pliers, your wire cutters, and your round nose pliers. So I'm going to start by cutting myself a piece of Fireline, and it's going to be pretty long because once again we're going around in essentially circles here, so it's going to take more thread than you think it's going to. So I'm going to cut myself about 5-ish feet of thread, and since I'm a little over 5 feet tall, a full double arm span should be approximately 5 feet. So Fireline is notoriously hard to cut because it is a very, very strong thread. Oh look, I have snips. So a really sharp pair of snips is helpful for cutting your Fireline, but don't buy a super expensive pair of snips for cutting your Fireline because, it's all that way up the top of my head. Don't buy a super expensive pair of snips for cutting your Fireline because it's going to actually dull out your snips over time, so you don't want to waste money on something that is literally you're buying to destroy it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to thread this into our needle. And do it. My end is kind of chopped up here. Let's see if I can get a cleaner cut. That's better. Alright, so I'm just going to take that Fireline, and my trick for threading needles, which almost always works for me, is to take my thread and put it in between my fingers and then just roll my fingers up over it. Place the eye of my needle right on top of where that thread is and then just roll it up through my fingers, and what that usually will do is it'll push my thread through the eye of the needle. Okay, so now I've got my 5 feet of thread on my needle, so I'm going to start by just tying it onto my bead. So I'm going to take it through. Ha ha, Silver made a rhyme. Lurking while working. Alright, so I just threaded that through, and I'm just going to tie it in a double knot one way, and then a double knot the other way. Make sure that's nice and tight, and then you can put a little drop of glue on that, which I didn't bring over here, so I'll be right back. And you're not trying to glue the knot to the bead with the glue. The glue is really just to glue the knot, the strands of the knot together, so it doesn't come undone. So I'm just going to take, this is my Hypo Cement glue, and I'm just going to take and put a drop of that on there. I'm going to let it dry for a couple minutes before I cut that end off, so I'm going to go ahead and start my beading, and then I'll go back and trim that end when the glue is dry. So this is a bead mat, and this is actually 1/4 of a bead mat, because it's sometimes nice to have it in a smaller chunk, but these are really great when working with almost any beads because they keep your beads from rolling, but they're great when working with seed beads because you can pour them out and they'll stay put. So I'm just going to go ahead and get out. You can tell that I didn't do a very good job of segregating when I was cleaning up the other day. Alright, so I'm going to pour out 2 piles of seed beads. And I'm going to start by just stringing enough seed beads of one color on my thread to go all the way from this hole to this hole. And what I am going to do, since this knot's kind of in the middle, is I'm going to go ahead and pass my needle down through my bead so that I'm actually starting at the hole instead of halfway from one hole to the other. And then the other cool thing about bead mats is when you're working with seed beads, you can literally pick them off of the bead mat with your needle, so you don't have to try and fumble with getting the tiny little beads in your fingers. So it's very handy. Now this would also make a really adorable pair of earrings. The only reason that it's a charm for tonight's tutorial and not a pair of earrings is just because of the seed bead stringing, it is a little time consuming. So I didn't know that I would actually have enough time to do a pair of earrings on stream. Okay, so I think one more and I'll be good. So that's going all the way from the hole that is up at the top to the hole that is at the bottom. So I'm going to string on one more bead. And then I'm going to take my needle. So it's going to go around the outside here, so I'm going to take my needle up through my bead, and what should happen at that point is now my line of beads should just snug right around the outside of my base bead. So my little pattern that I was doing was 2 orange lines to 1 cream colored line, so I'm going to go ahead and continue that, so my next one would be an orange line. And you could of course get creative with your colors on this. There's no reason you have to do what I did. So again, we're going to string enough beads on here to go all the way around, and let's just for grins, 1, 2, 3. So 15, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Alright, so then that's my, well, hi Corvus! It is a little pumpkin. And you could even make your little pumpkin purple if you were so inclined. Okay, so the one thing that you have to be careful of is your beads are going to want to slip inside that hole, and that is not really helpful because it's going to restrict the amount of threads that you're going to be able to get in there. So if that happens, just kind of poke it out, and you can kind of block the hole with your nail. And I'm going to take my, don't stab yourself, but I'm going to take my thread, my needle up, and make my second line of beads. Now I'm going to do the same thing again. This is going to be another orange line. So like I said, my pattern is 2 oranges and then a cream. So I'm going to do 15, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Corvus, how's the weather in Cali? We finally got fall. Here, we've had 2 consecutive days of cool temperatures. Like I said before, that might be all the fall we get, but hey, 2 days is... Hi, Susan! 2 days of fall is better than no days of fall, so I will take it. Okay, so once again, my beads are gonna go around, so I'm gonna take my needle up through that hole and just pull down like so. Okay, so that's 2 oranges, so now it's a cream. Oh, well, that sucks. And on the other end of the spectrum, Lori, have you had snow yet? Because my parents in Wisconsin have. It wasn't like a blizzard, but it was a significant snow. It's the kind of snow that like sticks on lawns and roofs of houses and things, but doesn't actually stick on the roads. 87, good Lord, Corvus. What's your average fall temperature there, though? By this time it should be cold. Holy cow! And it was 70 degrees in Edmonton yesterday? What the heck? That's just wrong and weird. People say the weather's not going cockamamie. I beg to differ. Okay, so once again, I'm going to take that up through my hole. And I just want to make sure that this little line goes where it's supposed to. Now you'll notice these are trying to kind of spread out. That problem is going to be fixed when we get more lines of beads on there. The more lines of beads we get, the more they're going to kind of squish everything into place. So now I'm just going to continue this. So 2 lines of orange, 1 line of cream until I've gone all the way around my bead. Yeah, it's crazy. I had a customer tell me, excuse me, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I had a customer today tell me that our average temperature here in Dallas for the month of July was 103 degrees, which is insanely hot. Because we're talking about an average. So there were, as many days above 103 as there were below 103. And that's just completely nuts. Also, okay, I have a 11, 12. Okay, so my, since they took The West Wing off of Netflix, my new watch while working show is Madam Secretary with Téa Leoni, which is good. It's not quite West Wing level good, but it's pretty good. And so I would like somebody to fact check something for me that was on one of the episodes, just because I'm curious to know if this is a real fact or a made up for television fact. But they were doing a report on climate change, which is why this brought this to my mind. And one of the things in the report was that there are more plastic flamingos in the world now than real flamingos. And I am curious to know if that is true. Ooh, bad news bears. Okay, so I did a bad thing. I screwed up because I actually put it through that bead there, and that's gonna mess with how things lay. So really the best way to back up when you're doing this is to unthread your needle. And I realize that this is terrible for some people who hate threading needles, but unthread your needle and then pull the thread back out. Because if you try and retrace your steps with the needle, there's a really, really good chance that you're going to just split the thread, and then you're going to have an even bigger mess. Okay, so Corvus has heard this factoid as well. So there are just under 2 million real flamingos, and how many plastic flamingos are there?
Well, also plastic flamingos don't die.
Right, it's true. There are just under 2 million flamingos in the wild, whereas their kitschy plastic cousins produced on a mass scale since 1957 number well into the millions.
Oh, wait.
General fact, real flamingos die, plastic ones do not.
Or fewer than that, real flamingos.
Oh, wow.
So, as of November 21st, 2019, it says there are about 950,000.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So maybe instead of buying a plastic flamingo, donate to some kind of conservancy fund that takes care of real flamingos. Also, that is an interesting, yes, I saw that, and okay, I'm gonna look at this in between streams, and this may provide some fodder for the sales stream. So it is, nope, not that one. That's an old project. Yeah, so it is a sale night tonight. It's a Wednesday, so I've got lots of fun stuff for you. I have some impulse purchases of mine that I'm gonna attempt to tempt you all with, and I'm also going to pull some more new stuff, so it should be a fun sale this evening. Sorry, my nose is itching. It was Chavez counting the plastic flamingos. I mean, that's fair. Is there a government agency that goes around and counts them in people's yard?
Doubt it.
I mean, I feel like there's also probably some kind of like stockpile of plastic flamingos in a warehouse in China somewhere. Possibly there might be more in that warehouse than in the actual wild. Sorry, I'm backtracking. Another oops mistake. Okay, now we're back on track. So yeah, it's been a slow week here at the Beading Dreams. I'm going to blame the change in weather, because, you know, if I could spend the whole day out, of course my allergies would hate me for it, but if I could spend the whole day outside instead of being inside in this beautiful weather, I probably would. I've been sleeping with my window open at night, which has been very nice. Except, and I think someone must have said something because it wasn't making noise this morning, but one of my neighbors went all out for Halloween. She's new to the neighborhood, so we've never seen this before. She's got like 3 blow-ups and like fake spider webs in all colors all over her yard, and like things hanging from all of her trees, and, you know, good on her for having that much energy to invest in decorating for Halloween. But one of the decorations that's hanging from the trees is a cackling witch. Yeah, okay, but the shouty witch was going 24/7, Tether.
Okay.
Wow.
Maybe a little much.
Yeah. Yeah, so the cackling witch was great, but not at 2 in the morning.
Right.
And especially when with my window open, it was like cackly witch, you know, all the time. 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But somebody must, like I said, somebody must have said something, because the cackly witch was silent this morning. And I'm like all for turn on the cackly witch during trick-or-treating, like turn on the cackly witch, you know, at night, you know, with, I mean, it just, you know, turn the cackly witch off at a reasonable hour. That's really all I'm asking. Yes, I think that hers is also motion activated. But since I live on a cul-de-sac, which is not busy at all, but this street that crosses my cul-de-sac is a fairly well-traveled street. That's actually the street that Ziggy was on when he had his encounter with the car. And so there are a fair amount of cars that go down that street, and those cars set off the cackling witch as well. So, yeah, it's just a little much. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now I better hurry. But, I mean, again, props to her for having the energy for that, because definitely I am not that person. I am not the person who is going to spend that much time decorating my yard for any holiday. Even if it is one that I quite enjoy, still not gonna do it. Okay, so now this little tail is getting in my way. So I'm just gonna grab my cutters, and that glue should be plenty dry by now, so I'm just gonna snip it off. Let's see, and for anybody who is interested in an update, Sir Elton is doing very well. He is starting to relax a bit and not be quite so skittish. Also, we have discovered he can be bribed with chicken. So there's that.
I got to meet him.
Heather got to meet him, it's true. 6, 8, 10, 12, 15.
I didn't get to pet him.
Yeah, we're working on that. It's just gonna take time. Since he was
Start following me from room to room.
since he was a legit street cat, he has all of the runaway and hide instincts. I will decorate myself, Corvus, does that count? I will put all of the decorations on me, where you all can appreciate them. And I am very excited about my Raven costume. Actually, I need to get jiggy with the glue gun and the Raven feathers.
Hey, Dogsy.
10. Yay! 11, 12, 13, 14. Careful, Dogsy. Corvus will bring her cackling witch to the boxing match. I feel like that gives her some kind of an advantage. So Corvus, have you put up your Halloween decorations yet? So see how nicely you can just pick them up off the bead mat? That's really, really useful. Okay, so I am about halfway around my pumpkin. I might not wind up getting as many rows on this pumpkin as I would have liked just because of time, but you'll get the idea. I mean, you can really just keep cramming them in. But we're gonna go for a little while longer. Okay, so that's what I've got so far. So actually, slightly more than half of my pumpkin is done. Awesome. So do you get trick-or-treaters where you are, Corvus, or do you just decorate because of your own black Halloween soul? Just curious. Oh dear, that was incorrect. It's okay. I'm betting like you can probably see Corvus's Halloween decorations from space.
As long as I can see them from here.
Well,
it's not like seeing Russia from my house.
No, that's the, you know, there's that whole curvature of the Earth thing. Oh, you're so sweet, Corvus. You have such a sweet black heart. My stepmother loves trick-or-treaters, and they unfortunately also live on a cul-de-sac. And there aren't a whole lot of kids in their neighborhood anymore. And so she'll sit down at the end of the cul-de-sac in a folding chair, but she and she gives out full-size candy bars too. And I think last year they only had like 5 trick-or-treaters. She was very sad. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You know, I should suggest you go over to my grandmother's house. There's probably more kids there. That was the neighborhood that I always used to trick-or-treat in when I was growing up, because we lived in apartments. And apartment trick-or-treating is, you know, it's definitely a thing that you can do, but it's not the most gratifying trick-or-treating. So I would always go to my grandparents and trick-or-treat over there. And then of course there was always the indignity, because it was October in, you know, October, almost November in Wisconsin. It was cold. So then there was always the indignity of the years where, you know, you had to wear a coat over your Halloween costume, because that was just ruining the effect. 9, 10, 11. So everybody, what's your favorite Halloween costume that you have ever worn? That's awesome, Lori. I love it. Are you scary, Mighty Corvus, or are you mighty scary? Inquiring minds want to know. So my favorite Halloween costume that I ever wore is actually an adult costume. And I dressed up one year as Sally Bowles from Cabaret. And I must say I did a really, really good job on that costume. And I should have gone to the neighborhood with that costume, because it would have been much appreciated. But instead, we went to some dude bro bar where nobody knew who I was. So that was disappointing, but I really liked that costume. There will not be a redo of that costume, however, because I was way skinnier then. Ew. Yeah, if you do any level or any amount of needlework, you are gonna stab yourself. It's just a foregone conclusion. Vanishing Pearl! Hi, Pearl! Rear rated. How's everything? Welcome in. How is your stream, Pearl? What were y'all doing? Yay! I'm so excited. I am making a teeny tiny beaded pumpkin. We're doing 2 weeks of Halloween on the Beading Dreams stream. So that's what we're doing tonight. What were you all doing tonight? Super excited to see you. So yeah, I'm gonna go for probably about 15 more minutes with the pumpkin, and then I'm gonna transition to sale. Oh yay! Kumihimo is so fun. Heather is like our Kumihimo expert here at the Beading Dreams. So yeah, so I'm making my little pumpkin, and I'm about 3/4 of the way done. So now so my pattern is 2 rows of orange and 1 row of cream. So now I'm on 2 rows of orange because I just finished a row of cream. So I'm using size 11 delicate beads, but you don't have to use delicas. You could use any size 11s. These were literally just in the top of my drawer of seed beads. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so I just posed this question to everyone who was on the stream before y'all rated. What's your favorite Halloween costume you've ever worn? I'm curious to know. Lori said one year she dressed up and put on a third eye and almost scared a trick-or-treater off her porch with her third eye, which I think is pretty awesome and good with the spook. My favorite is I dressed up as Sally Bowles one year and went to entirely the wrong party for that to be appreciated. Oh, that's awesome, Susan. I love that. Did you have like the hat and like the ponytail and everything? Because that's really cool. Even if you didn't, that's still really cool. I used to watch I Dream of Jeannie. So I was a latchkey kid. My mom worked full time, and she and my dad were divorced. So I would come home from school and I would just, go in the house and do my thing. And in summers, I was home all day by myself. And so I would watch 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 10, 11, 12, 15. I would watch reruns of Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie, like, all day long. I watched reruns of Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie, and I would watch cooking shows on PBS. And that is how I would spend my days. Now, I was supposed to spend my days doing things like cleaning my room, but watching cooking shows and I Dream of Jeannie was way more fun than cleaning my room, which did backfire on me the one year. Yes, the one year that my mom said I'm supposed to clean out my closet. That's my summer project. And every night when she got home, she'd ask, "Did you work on your closet today?" And I say, "Yeah, I did," which was a flat out, complete, barefaced lie. And she'd be like, 6, 8, 10. She'd be like, "Can I see it?" I'm like, "No, I don't want you to see it till it's all done." And yeah, so one day she finally got sick of hearing me say that, and she went into my completely uncleaned, still messy closet. She was so mad. She started picking things up out of my closet and throwing them across my bedroom. It's actually slightly traumatic, but just in case anyone was wondering, I have been a procrastinator since a very young age. And yes, if anybody wants to see Lori's third eye Halloween costume, she did post a pic up on Discord. So you can join our Discord. Heather just put up the Discord invite link. Thank you, Heather. So you can join our Discord to see that cool picture. All right, so I screwed up a little bit, probably because I was talking and beading at the same time. See, I've got 3 here. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and squeeze in, and I think I can do it, 1 more cream and 1 more orange line, and then we're going to call this pumpkin done, because it's getting a little, beads are starting to pop out, which is usually your indicator that you're running out of space. Hi, Sophia. We've got all the fun people on the stream tonight. Everyone come back for the sale at 7:45, please. Because I've got lots of cool stuff to show you. And sales are more fun if there are more people to buy stuff. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8. Oh, that was bad. I gestured and all of the beads fell off my needle except for 3.
Oh. Well, we've all been there.
Oh, that's awesome. Studio K, that's very cool. Okay, so this is my next. This is my added orange. And then I'm going to try and shoehorn a cream in there, and then we're going to call it done and do the finishing. Maybe. Haha. Go on. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's a solid. That's always a solid one. Well, y'all can tune in on Saturday the 29th, and you can judge my costume and Heather's costume. Heather, of course, is going to look fabulous. I may look fabulous, or I may just look like something that Mamie brought in from outside. So we'll see.
No, you'll be more together.
I mean, that one burb she brought in was completely together.
That's true, just saved for later.
That's awesome. 3, 6. Also, since I was a dancer, like a dance, you know, I've been in dance classes ever since I was very young. My mother would also reuse my dance costumes as Halloween costumes.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it was like the year that we had these little peasant costumes. And so that I was a gypsy, which I realize now is terrible, but I didn't know that then. So I was a gypsy one year because we had the peasant costume, and then I can't even remember, but there were at least 2 or 3 that got reused for Halloween costumes. Ooh, a traffic cone, that would be fun.
No, that would be
Yes,
fun.
we do have our costumes planned. Heather is going to reprise her role as the Morrigan.
Yes.
And I'm going to be one of her ravens. And if I can get Elton and Mamie to cooperate, we will be a murder of ravens, though they will be appearing by photograph only.
Otherwise, there might be an actual murder of ravens.
Right, exactly. Or a poor confused Elton just spinning around, not knowing what to do. Okay.
With his skinny little butt.
I know. All right, so my little pumpkin is done. So now I'm just going to do the finishing embellishments.
My little pumpkin.
So I'm going to cut myself a piece of my green wire, and I'm just going to, and you don't need it to be too big because you don't want the little swirlies to take over your pumpkin. So this is probably about 3 inches long. And I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, and I'm just going to make, in the middle of my wire, I'm going to make a little loop. Like so. And then I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to just curl up the ends of my wire just by spiraling them around my pliers. And since my pliers are a cone, it's going to make tighter little spirals as I get closer to the center. There we go. Oh, that's cool. It's very cool. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. I love, yes, pumpkin stem. I love costumes. I wish I had more time to devote to them. I always feel like I'm putting everything together like on the fly at the last minute.
I have such grandiose ideas.
All right, so these are my little pumpkin stem twirls, and then I have my little green guy that's the actual. You did not, Pearl. That's amazing. Okay, I put my little green bead for my actual stem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread my needle through the little hole in the middle of my little pumpkin twirlies, and then I'm going to thread it through my green bead.
I mean, somehow that doesn't surprise me.
At the
same time, it amazes me.
And then I've got my soldered ring, and then I'm just going to go skip my soldered ring and go back down through all of the rest of that. So we're going to move that off to the side, and I'm going to go back down through my little green bead, through my little twirlies, and then one more time back down through my pumpkin. Yeah, playable Tetris dress definitely wins.
Yeah. Especially if you can control who plays it.
Yes. Alright, so it's getting pretty tight, so I just had to use my I had to use my pliers to pull it through, and of course my ring has now gotten tangled up in my little twirlies, so we're just going to kind of separate everything out, pull it down, and ta-da! Pumpkin stem. And then to finish this, we can just go ahead and on the bottom pick a bead and go through it a couple times, and then make a half hitch knot. So go through it and then take your needle through that loop, go through it and take your needle through the loop, and then we're going to just finish by going back up through our pumpkin. See, I have the skills to sew things from scratch. I just don't ever have the dang time. Which, like I said, is frustrating.
Pesky sleeping.
Because it's like, I know I could do so many cool things if only I didn't have to sleep or work or clean my house or feed myself or any of those things. And then we're just going to go ahead and take that and cut it off. And there you go. That's our little pumpkin charm. So if you want to attach it to anything, you can just use a jump ring of the appropriate size, and you're just going to use your pliers to open that up. And attach that to your soldered ring, and then hang it from whatever you want to hang it from. I'm just going to go ahead and hang it from this bracelet because I've got it here. I know, right? Oh, thank you, Pearl. You're so sweet. Yes, I know. Curse those responsibilities. All right, and then as always with a jump ring, make sure it's closed all the way, and ta-da! Pair of pumpkins. All right, so that's it. That's our first of our 2 weeks of Halloween is our little pumpkin charm. Also, you can see I used 2 very different size beads for these, so I got 2 very different sized little pumpkins. So remember when you're doing this that you're adding a layer of beads around the outside of your core bead, so it is going to turn out bigger than your core bead is. Now I have 2 little dangling pumpkin balls on my bracelet. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us on the Beading Dream stream. Thank you, Raiders. Thank you, Pearl, for bringing everybody in. We so appreciate you. Anybody who wants to come back and join us, we will be selling beads live on stream in just about half an hour. We'll be on around 7:45. This is one of my impulse purchases. These are pink sapphires, and they're amazing. And I will be selling them by the whole or half strand for a pretty darn good price. Plus I have some other cool stuff for you. So we will be selling beads and getting silly back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, in just 30 minutes. So everyone take a minute, go grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a snack, get some hydration in you, and we will see y'all back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, in 30 for the sale. Thanks everyone. Thanks again, Raiders. Thanks, Pearl. And we'll see y'all soon. Bye.